Have you ever wondered how much your account is worth? Well, that's what today's video is about. It's all about the secret society of account selling.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Because it is part of the game, it could be a problem or it could not be a problem. We're going to discuss both sides and even showcase how simple it really is to just buy an account on Call of Dragons. Hello and welcome to today's video, and yes, it's about account selling and that all drama part of the game, because as you guys know, the once upon a time was a no announcement on here, well, I should say it was an announcement that stated safe game policy, right, all to do with account selling, resource selling, all that jazz, right? And we're going to obviously talk about first how obviously for the devs, they don't obviously want you to account sell, why it's bad for you, and obviously the pros and cons, because there's obviously two sides of that coin, right? So obviously for the devs, you got to think they are making a free-to-play game, but obviously as we know, it's not really a free-to-play game. You do need to spend some sort of money if you really do want to be competitive, unless you're going to be that guy that's a free-to-play player that grinds in every single day for at least 10 hours plus, I'm going to say it. Then you might be in there. But for the most part, the game is all about obviously spending a little bit, not too much, even if some people just buy the daily deal ever so often, and even buy, like myself, I'll just get the monthly packs. These are running out in 3 days, so I'll renew them and just leave them there for another month again, and then keep going, right? So they've got all these different mechanics in the game to obviously make money, because without money, as you guys know, the game can't be developed. That means there's no new maps, no new behemoths, you name it, nothing can be developed, right? And this is where account selling becomes an issue, as you can imagine, for the devs, right? And this is, I'm not going to defend the devs. I understand their point of view, right? Because they're making a game, and obviously, if you buy, for example, an account for either like $200, $300, $500, whatever it's going to be, right? Whatever you were going to spend, that could have been money into the game on a new account, right? And that would have been more beneficial to them. But at the same time, I would always flip the coin around, because if it's for a player, there's no argument saying that they might buy that account for $500, but they might keep spending, right? They might actually keep spending money and put more money but onto that account that they've bought, right? Because it's their account now, right? And some people do that. And that's one of the things where you can see where some people would rather buy an account and then start investing money because it's more beneficial for them, because they understand how much of a grind the early game has been, right? So what I'm going to do is actually go and showcase how easy an account, you know, how to find an account to buy, right? And it's going to widen your eyes, because it's not as hard as a lot of people think. And welcome to the dark web, and what shall I say, Facebook. We're on Facebook, and it's pretty simple. We're in just the area where you can search, and all you have to type in is Call of Dragons buy and sell, and I'm gonna tell you, it's that easy to find these pages. And there's not just obviously Call of Dragons, and I'm not gonna exclusively make this video purposely shouting out Call of Dragons, because this happens everywhere, right? You can see even in Rise of Kingdoms, Infinity Kingdoms is here, and sometimes if you scroll further enough and you find them, you will even find, like, you know, Last Shelter, Survival. So there's all different types of games. It's not just exclusive to this game, right? So it's not an exclusive problem here. But when you go into these pages, you will be able, as you can see, I've been able to join them because they're quite easy to join just for this video's purpose. You'll be able to notice how easy it is to probably buy one of these accounts, right? Because you can find out all the information you need. This guy wants $500 for a 24 million power account at VIP 13. He's on server 254, which is crazy. So he's a big spender for a newer account, right? And you can showcase where all of his tech is, but he hasn't got T5, so it's one of them. But you can see, like, another T5 account, 2,000 Canadian dollars, insane. But you can see everything that's in this account. And this is honestly how easy it is to maybe look and buy an account, because once you do this, you would start obviously open conversations with these players, with their emails or whoever they are, right? However they want to get contacted through there, and then you'd make the sale. But now this is where we're going to go back into the game and talk a bit more friendly towards you guys, because the thing is, right, I don't obviously I'm not going to frown upon it, but you've got to remember the risks. There is risks in doing this, and a lot of people do sometimes waver off the risks, and obviously it's not happened to them before, it's not happened to any of their friends, so they don't think it's going to happen to them. But you can get potentially scammed. And that's one thing I will say. If you get scammed during this, and this means you send the money, you get the account details, but then next day you log in, for some reason the account details have been changed and you can't get access to it, it's because they've reclaimed that account and they're going to do it again and going to re-scam someone, right? So if you fall into those traps, though, this is where the dilemma is a bit hard for the devs, because the devs have already warned players in not doing this, because if you do get obviously scammed, they've got no power in order to give you that account, because in reality he's that person who originally has the account details. It's his account, right? Which is a really stupid loophole, right? So I will say, if you are going to make one of these transactions, please be safe. Make sure you do, for example, get the full account access first, and then you can even change all the passwords, you know, to do with the account email, what's, you know, linked to these accounts. Like, make it as secure as possible, so no matter what, even if like someone goes to reset it, it only goes to your emails and nowhere else. Do you know what I mean? You have to make sure whenever you get one of these accounts, everything is going back to you, because if there's any way the person that you're buying from can get that information back, they might get it back, they might scam you, and obviously I don't want that to happen, right? But it just showcases, though, this part of the game, right? And it kind of highlights what I think is the big problem, right? And it's not really the account selling is the problem, right? I don't think people would be bothered about selling or not selling their accounts if the game was more accessible, right? It's because when you're playing Call of Dragons, and if you've not spent at least, I'm not gonna lie, at least like $5,000 if you're really trying to push really, really fast to get T5, it's gonna take you forever, guys. I have nowhere near spending that much money in this game. And when we're looking at it, I'm still coming towards the end of my tech tree, and yeah, it feels good that I'm almost at T5, but the problem is still stuff like the Rally Beacon, where it's just impossible to get this building done without spending gems. And as you guys know, gems costs money, and that is just not what a luxury that a lot of players have, right? And it is one of those where I can understand, like I say, both sides of this argument. Why players sell accounts and why players buy accounts. Because now if you go on the selling side, right, it's a little bit different, because as a seller, your intention might be different. And I've got an interview that I'm going to put up afterwards of a person selling their account, and just nice, quick, basic answers so you guys can understand why. But everyone has their own reasons. Maybe they're selling their account because they just don't have time anymore. Maybe they don't like the game anymore. Maybe they feel like they want a refund, and obviously they couldn't get the refund for some reason, so they want to sell their account instead. Basically, they want to get some sort of return on their investment. Even if it's not the total 100% of investment, they still want to get like half of it back at least, so they, you know, don't feel as bad, and they can obviously carry on and just, you know, do whatever they're going to do with that money, right? So let's go into an interview. I've got a quick little questionnaire with one of these guys that are selling their accounts. So what I've just done, just to make sure no one bombards this guy and obviously doesn't get any sort of bad karma towards him, obviously we've hidden all of his name and we've put his responses, as you can see, in there. And I know you're not going to be able to see some of the answers or questions because I'm hiding them, but don't you worry. We'll do a quick little movie magic. Boom. We'll have them disappear. So you can see all of the questions there. If you want to have a quick little screenshot or pause if you want to read them, and I will lower it a little bit there just so you can get that last one, right? So nice little simple bit of questionnaire that I've asked him, and we're just gonna go over it really quickly. And I like it because it's just nice and quick, and it goes straight to the point of every question, which I really enjoy. So obviously I've asked him a little quick bit about background. He's been playing the game for 279 days. He's on server 170, and when we go into one of the questions, he's around 31 million power, right? So we've got some nice little background there. So I asked him the main question: why have you made me quit Call of Dragons? Because everyone wants to know why people are quitting, right? And his answer was more of real life. He couldn't keep up with the game, and what that thing that means is, again, as we kind of said throughout this video, is just the accessibility of the game. It requires a free-to-play player to spend 10 plus hours in this game just to grind and catch up. And even with all the time you're invested in, I'm someone with over 500 plus days played, and I'm still not T5. And that is a problem in Call of Dragons. If you play Rise of Kingdoms and any of the other games, you will be max T5 before or year if you do it right. And you can do it within 400 days easily, right? So it's just crazy the amount of time you need to play this game. And I can see why it's draining for players who just kind of want to hop onto this amazing game and actually just play through a bunch of the game modes, different PvP, style events, and then hop off. Makes sense, right? But then I asked the big question, how do you value your account? Because that is the one question I think a lot of players wonder. How would I value my account? And obviously, he only gives me a very basic response on this, but I can obviously see where he's going. So he's based on his power being 31 million power, and he spent around $200 on fully awakening the Lilia, so that's nice. So you're already getting that fully awakened Lilia on his account, and his Valen and Fear are almost close to awakened, and they're 5 stars as well. So you can see he's already giving you some information about, basically, he's judging his account on his heroes, right? The amount of heroes and how good those heroes are, and potentially even artifacts, right? We haven't seen that, but you can basically see if you're going to judge your account, it's going to be on a massive amount of stuff. And maybe I'll do a video on it and you guys want me to do it on how you can potentially value your account. I might do that. I'm not going to obviously give you guys numbers, but I'll give you all the areas people will probably need to know if they want to do that, right? But then when it goes to like, do you think the game's free to play? Because I said, do you think the free-to-play title of the game holds true? Meaning, do you think it's actually a free-to-play game or do you think it's pay to win, right? And he went yes and no. So he goes, it's hard for a free-to-play player to compete against any of the pay-to-play players, which is so true in this game. Because the amount of time it takes to get a tier match is extremely long. And that is the main issue. And this is what I've said. And he's even saying it himself in this, interview. And it's a big issue, which is a big turn off for a lot of players, because they kind of look at myself and they might look at other content creators that are only T4 players and they might be asking, how are you not T5 yet? And it's just because the game is not giving you enough rewards, enough events, enough stuff to do as a free-to-play player to actually get the same amount of, treaties, all the watchtower arrows, speed ups and gems that you're going to need to get all the master blueprints. It's kind of insane, right? So you can see this has been a really good interview. When I finished the last 3 questions, I asked, from spending, do you regret it or do you find it, was it still fun? And I actually really like the reply to this, because this is a really honest approach. He goes, I'm a low spender, so I didn't buy a lot of things, but in the boxes, I did feel it was worth it. And as long as you enjoy the game, any amount of money or time is definitely worth it. And I really like the ending of that sentence, because the way he's put, as long as you enjoy the game, any amount of money or time is definitely worth it, I think is a really good motto that the devs have forgotten about. I think the devs have forgotten that if you make a really enjoyable game where players are able to do so many different things when they log on, and any of those things could boost their account, they will be willing to spend $5, $10, $20, $40, and you'd be surprised on the vast quantity of players that would be making smaller purchases compared to the big spenders that you try to rely on. It makes more sense to, in a mobile game, go for quantity over quality, right? Especially in the spender base. So I really like this. It showcases, like, look, if you make a good game, people will be willing to spend it. And it is a very, very easy thing to understand, I think, and very logical too. So when we're going into the 5th and 6th questions, I asked, have you been looking at any other games? He kind of just says he plays all types of games, but it's kind of hard because, again, any type of game you play, it could be anything. It does dedicate some time, if you're going to play Call of Duty, you're going to have to level up and get those weapon unlocks, upgrade those weapons, get those attachments unlocked. you're playing Call of Dragons, you're going to have to spend too much time just to upgrade your buildings, and then you got the PvP as well. You know, it goes for any game, right? So I kind of like that response. And then number 6 is any tips and tricks. And this one is really good because it's talking about when you're in Call of Dragons, he goes, it's like any other MMO. You build friendships with people all over the world, which sometimes turns into family, and that alone is amazing. And I think that is a really good sentiment to finish off that interview, because it was a nice, honest interview. It wasn't too crazy, as you can see, and you can understand his honest perspective on why he's selling his account. It's nothing malicious, nothing bad, right? He just doesn't have the time to play the game, which is understandable. But I like the fact that, again, when it comes to Call of Dragons, it does hold this really good social aspect, right? The fact that you're in this game, and yes, you're part of these alliances, and you have 200 members, and with this you can do some, you know, really insane wars when you're fighting for like the center. And obviously you got all these different events, like the caravan event, but you're technically going against other, you know, alliances. On top of this, you know, the behemoth raids. So there's all these social dynamics where, yeah, you might fail that flame dragon 10 times, but because you've been doing it with that same alliance, when you killed it on the 11th attempt, it feels good. And those moments that you share with the players that you met along the game is amazing. And I feel like that is a really good point on Call of Dragons. And if you've always wondered why people play Call of Dragons, that is another reason, right? So let's just bring things back to the whole account selling, right? Because obviously we was talking a little bit about the game there. So I want to hear your thoughts basically on account selling. Do you think it's a problem, or do you think it's not a problem? Because obviously some people might think, do you know what? You shouldn't be able to obviously sell your account, because that just kind of puts me at a, you know, a disadvantage, because I've just been busting my ass out for a year, and next minute someone just comes onto the server because they bought the account and they're already stronger than me, right? So they just streamlined and paid to win on top of me, right? Do you think that's fair, or do you think it's fair to allow players to technically sell their account, you know, once they've had enough time, if they feel like this isn't the game for them, to get some of that investment back, right? I'd like to hear your thoughts. This has been me, MrSneakyy, on account selling. I've showcased a little bit on both sides, the good and the bad. I've warned you guys as well, don't get scammed, and if you're going to do this, it's all on you. And obviously the devs won't be able to help you out if you do get scammed, so don't try and help. But that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. With all of that, smash like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, and peace out.